Hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Orro Reports. So, for this episode, let's talk about Goofy. If you folks recall, during Father's Day of 2020, I looked at a Goofy movie, which I think is both a classic and an underrated Disney film from the mid-1990s, and I'm glad that my dad took me to see it in theaters back then, when I was about 4 years old. Also, as an adult, not only does it bring back memories from the Goof Troop TV series, but it also makes a great road trip film between a father and a son. And I also think the Powerline songs are just awesome. So much so that I actually danced to one of them during a special manhunt during my high school senior year. However, during the early 2000s, a Goofy movie managed to get an extreme sequel, which of course is the movie that I'll be blogging today. Released to video and DVD on February 29th, 2000, the movie is an extremely goofy movie. So, let's get started. In this sequel, Max heads off to college with his friends PJ and Bobby and is finally free of his embarrassing father, Goofy, as he strives to be a top contender for the College X Games. Unfortunately, Goofy loses his job and learns that he cannot get another one without a college degree. To his son's mortification, Goofy decides to join him in his campus to get that degree. Desperate to distract his father, Max talks him into joining the competing Gamma fraternity team and introduces him to a beautiful librarian named Sylvia, who shares his nostalgic love for the 1970s. Unfortunately, things do not go according to plan, as events put this father-son relationship to the test. So, what do I personally think? Well, to me, I thought it was a pretty fun and groovy sequel. And to further explain why I like this movie, let's move on to Mustang Notes. The film was directed by Douglas McCarthy, whom was a storyboard artist for The Road to El Dorado, Cats Don't Dance, Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas, Blue Sky's Robots, Alpha and Omega, and others. Also, believe it or not, this movie won an Annie Award for Best Animated Home Video Production at the 28th Annie Awards in 2000. As for the animation, well, in my opinion, for direct-to-video standards, the hand-drawn animation is still pretty good. Plus, I like that there are several moments that reference Goof Troop, a Goofy movie, and a very goofy Christmas from Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. Plus, like Monsters University, this movie captures the spirit of going to college to a T. You see, when I went to college from 2009 to 2014, I studied with both folks my age and adults who needed a college degree. And I kind of like the beat poetry scene at the coffee shop, which references how things were during my early childhood in the 90s. And while the soundtrack is pretty dated, I like the several classic songs from the 1960s and 1970s. My favorites being Right Back Where We Started From by Cleopatra, You Make Me Feel Like Dancing by Carmen Carter and Donnie McClurkin, Shake Your Groove Thing by Peaches and Herb, and Come On Get Happy by the Partridge Family. Another part of the movie that I like, which is the reason why I wanted to blog this film for the Super Bowl weekend, is the College X Games, which is an annual action sports event organized, produced, and broadcast by ESPN. By the way, several months later, following the September 11th attacks in 2001, the scene in which Goofy rescues Max and Tank from under the burning X Games logo structure was removed from television broadcasts of the film, and it skips to show them skating out of the wreckage. But thankfully, the scene remains in other versions of the movie, like on DVD and on Disney+. Also, I must mention a certain nitpick that me and several folks have with this film. Why is Roxanne absent? I mean, so far, it's not known what happened to her in between these two movies, though some folks may theorize that she might have gone to a different college, and of course, last Christmas, while I was blogging Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, I did say the reason why Mona replaced Roxanne was because her thick red hair would have been too hard to animate with the CGI animation at the time, and with the movie's budget. But, as a relief, I'm glad that Roxanne does appear in an episode of The House of Mouse and in an episode of the 2017 DuckTales series. And now, let's move on to the characters and the voice actors. Let's start with Goofy, voiced by the current voice actor Bill Farmer. To me, as usual, Goofy can be clumsy and absent-minded, but at the same time, he's optimistic and blissful, and he can always bring you a smile whenever he's on screen. During this movie, after getting fired from his job at a toy factory, Goofy attends college with Max so that he can get a degree, which he never obtained earlier in his life due to him dropping out before completing his final year. While there, Goofy joins the Gamma fraternity and begins a relationship with the school's librarian. More on her later. Sadly, things don't go well for Goofy due to him still treating Max like a little boy and having a lack of focus, which results in him flunking his midterms, and I think that may have been the reason why he got fired. Also, the part where Goofy joins Max's team during the X Games finals was pretty awesome. And I also thought it was pretty interesting to learn that Goofy had grown up throughout the 60s and 70s. Next is his son, Max, voiced by Jason Marsden, whom was Thackeray Binks in Disney's Hocus Pocus, Kovu from The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, and Haku in Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. To me, Max is pretty similar, but different from how he was in the first film. Yeah, he is pretty calm, cool, and he struggles to keep his dad's goofiness as far away from him as possible. And during this movie, while attending college, Max hopes to start a new life for himself and partake in the College X Games competition. And he also hopes to distract Goofy by encouraging him to join the Gammas, which I thought was pretty selfish and arrogant of him. Also, I like that Max is loyal to his best friends, and I thought it was pretty daring when he makes a bet with Bradley Uppercrust to see who will be the towel boy to the other should either win the X Games. Also, I like when Max redeems himself by apologizing to Goofy for disowning him and for not heeding his warnings when he had the chance, and by giving him the X Games championship trophy as a parting gift. Next we have Max's friends and teammates, PJ and Bobby, voiced by Rob Paulsen and Pauly Shore. To me, these guys, while not having a lot of screen time, are pretty memorable characters, and I think their sports talents are pretty neat. Plus, I like that PJ gains a love interest in the form of the beret girl. As for Bobby, well, while I do like his haircut, I think Pauly Shore's performance is both weird but hip. And I think it's better than his roles in My Sweet Monster and The True Story of Pinocchio from last year. Ugh. Our next character is Sylvia Marple, voiced by Babe Newworth, whom was Nora Shepherd in the 2 Jumanji films, Annabelle in the All Dogs Go to Heaven series and sequels, Mirage from the Aladdin TV series, and Legend from Tick Tick Boom. Sylvia is the head librarian of the state college, and in my opinion, while she is seen as quiet and well-mannered, she's also shown to be a very fun-loving and sweet woman. Plus, I like that Sylvia is a fan of old collectibles and shows, and she loves to dance. Also, I think she and Goofy make a very cute couple, and I like the part where she helps him ace the rest of his exams. Another character to talk about is the Beret Girl, voiced by Vicki Lewis, whom was Eve from Alpha and Omega, April from Mouse Hunt, Deb from Finding Nemo and Finding Dory, and Persephone from the 2009 Wonder Woman movie. In my eyes, she's a very beautiful and mysterious young woman, and she's very poetic while regularly performing at the Bean Scene. Plus, she's also a very kind individual who is not afraid to stand up for herself or for her friends, and she also shows strong feelings for PJ. Finally, we have Bradley Uppercrust III, the leader of the Gamma fraternity and 5-time college X Games king, voiced by veteran voice actor Jeff Bennett. To me, Bradley is a selfish athlete, as he cares only for his own victory, no matter who gets left behind in his drive to win. Plus, he accepts only the best skilled competitors for his team, excluding all others whom he dubs as clowns or losers. Plus, I think he's really despicable due to him cheating during the X Games. And now on to my final words. Overall, an extremely goofy movie was a very entertaining film. While it doesn't really top the first movie or Goof Troop, the story is very nostalgic for folks who have gone through college or who have grown up throughout the 90s. The animation is great, the X Games scenes are pretty fun, the soundtrack is catchy to listen to, most of the characters are memorable, and the voice actors still do a pretty good job. So, if you folks love Goofy or Disney in general, then I recommend that you folks watch this movie, especially with your children and your family. I give it a 95% out of 100. Yeah, that should do it. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me for my next blog, where I look at an episode where Princess Sophia is summoned via her amulet to help a cursed princess. Mustang Power.